How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Please give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, hit that bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on the channel. And we're going to be talking about Disney's A Christmas Carol that came out in 2009. And as always, guys, we're going to talk about positives and negatives and give you guys my final review score. So first of all, this movie is rated PG and it's about an hour and 37 minutes long. And of course, this is based on the classic Charles Dickens tale of Ebenezer Scrooge and how he's a humbug and doesn't like Christmas at all. He's only concerned about making as much money as possible, and he'll do anything and nearly everything to make it where he can be the most profitable person in town, but he doesn't like the holidays. He doesn't find Christmas to be merry, and it leads him to being haunted by three spirits, the ghost of past, present, and future. And yeah, this movie, this version of this movie, I never saw when it came out. I just saw it recently because it was on Disney Plus, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a watch, see what everything's about because I've heard both good things and bad things about this movie. So I decided to give this version a watch. Personally, I like all the older versions, and I'm like, when I heard that Disney was going to do an animated version of it, I'm just like, really? Really? Don't you feel like this is probably a cash grab? And I'll be honest with you, yeah, it is. Because the older versions with human beings in it, I don't know why, but it's just much easier to connect with human beings when it comes to this classic tale. It's much easier to believe in what's going on. Now this isn't a horrible movie, but I'm just like I didn't have a entertaining time watching it. I wasn't connected. Gary Oldman and Jim Carrey both give amazing voice acting performances in this film. There's several moments in this film where I was constantly laughing. There's a lot of heart warmth, and there is still that hint of darkness from past versions of A Christmas Carol in here. There's still some elements of that darkness. Not as much though, and it's really weird because like there are some also. I'm sorry. There's also some moments in here I'm like, okay, this is getting really dark. This is almost on PG-13 level, and I'm like, Disney I think had a really hard time making it so this movie would be rated PG, so more people could see it, especially younger audiences. But I'm just like, yeah, this movie did not follow the exact same formula. I mean, this keeps the basic blueprints of A Christmas Carol, while Disney decided to make some risky changes for the newer generation that has never seen A Christmas Carol before, and I applaud them for trying something new. For me, though, it didn't work. Personal opinion. I will say this movie is better in 3D, and honestly, watch this version once, but the older versions are just better, plain and simple. But this movie isn't a bad watch. This is definitely a good holiday film for the entire family to sit down and watch. It's good in that sense, but it's not good as like, hey, you need to rewatch this movie 100 times. I can't compare this movie to other Christmas Carol movies and it being on the same level because it's not. And the animation, fantastic animation. This movie is 10, 11 years old, and the animation still holds up today. Negative wise, though, there are several scenes that I feel were changed in order to. Something on my shoulder. There's it feels like there's several scenes that have been changed to fit the Disney agenda at the time, and there's also several scenes, mostly with the ghost of present, the ghost of Christmas present. There's a lot of scenes with that ghost that feels more like a 3D roller coaster over a movie's plot. And I'm just like, okay, this movie like halfway through becomes a 3D roller coaster. I'm just like, oh, why? Like I get this movie was supposed to be a big hit with 3D glasses and all that at the time, but I'm just like it's taking away from what actually makes A Christmas Carol interesting, and it's not 3D. Never has been and never will be. Also, this movie focuses a lot on animation. Like they really spent a lot of money, I feel, on the animation, which I get Disney can do, but it leads to a lot of plot elements and plot points being rushed, and it doesn't allow for things to breathe. There's no breathing time, there's no time to connect, there's no time to have an emotional bond with any of the characters. Even with Ebenezer Scrooge, you're supposed to feel happy for him when he falls in love at first sight, and then he goes down the path of darkness where he's more concerned about money than he is being married to his love, and he becomes the humbug, and you see that, but it's so rushed. It's so disconnected to the audience. You're supposed to feel all these things. Like they try to do that with the animation and the music and the tone, and it works for like a split second, and then it moves on to another plot element, and you're like, hang on, I'm still invested in this part of the movie. Why are we jumping ahead 3 scenes? And I'm like, I didn't care about Ebenezer. I mean, I know I've seen A Christmas Carol 100 times. I'm sure you guys probably have if you're watching this review. But this version of Ebenezer Scrooge, I'm just like, okay, I know what's going to happen. There's nothing really new. But at least in the old versions with human beings, you're able to connect. There's that emotional connection. And I don't know if it's because everything's animated that I'm not able to connect, or everything's rushed, or maybe both. But I'm just like, I'm not able to connect with anybody. And I'm like, when you see Tiny Tim, one of my favorite characters in the whole tale, I'm just like, they don't spend enough time on the characters that make the tale awesome. It's not a connecting story. It doesn't connect with me as a viewer. And I have a very big problem on that because A Christmas Carol is a character piece. It's not supposed to be about explosions and actions and animation and 3D. And Disney really went away from what makes A Christmas Carol a Christmas Carol. And I have a very big problem with that. This film, honestly, it just focuses on spectacle over plot and characters. Like it keeps the basic blueprints of plot and characters, and it tries to go off and do other things that me, as someone that's watched all the older versions of A Christmas Carol, love those. This one, I can't stand to rewatch it. I've watched it once, and I really don't care to rewatch it again. Um, and then lastly, the ending felt rushed, and I was left unsatisfied. It's like, oh no, we're coming up at a 1 hour and 30 minutes. We need to wrap this up, and so they wrap it up in like 5 to 10 minutes, and you're like, I feel like there was more coming, and Disney's like, okay, we need to cut like an extra half an hour out so we can get more people to go see the movie. And this just feels like a cash grab on an iconic story, and I can't recommend you watching this. I know it's really weird for me to have to say about a Disney movie, and especially about a Christmas Carol movie, but I didn't like this movie. I'm sure you guys are shocked. You're like, what? Don't you love all Christmas movies? This version of A Christmas Carol, I don't like. I like older ones with human beings in them. And I don't care what actor or actress you get to be in those movies. I don't like this movie. Plain and simple. If anyone ever decides to make another animated version of A Christmas Carol, I'm sorry, but I'm already going to have thoughts of, okay, how is yours going to be any better than a Disney version that came out in 2009? And I honestly, they just need to stop. Disney and other companies need to stop regurgitating classic things that we've seen 100 times, that have been made 100 times. Come up with something new. I get this was supposed to be a Disney Christmas thing for the family, but if you want to have a good movie that's animated and takes place during Christmas, watch The Polar Express. Watch The Polar Express, because at least that movie is good. It's got musical numbers. There's no musical numbers in here. Like, they regurgitate the exact same song over and over and over again. And, like, there's some funny moments to it, but it's like, okay, what? Just. If I had to compare a good animated Christmas movie to this, A Christmas Carol, I would compare it to the Polar Express, and the Polar Express wins every time. So this movie just, my biggest question is, why did Disney make this movie? What was their incentive? What was their viewpoint? Why did they put this out? And I'll tell you exactly one reason. They wanted to jump on the 3D hype train at the time of 2009 and whatnot and make a cash grab. That's all this movie is, and it's plain and simple. You guys are more than welcome to disagree or agree with me in the comments section, and I would love to know your guys' opinions and thoughts. If you guys have seen this version of the movie, do you guys like it or not? Do you guys like the older versions? What did you guys think? So let me know down in the comment section, and you guys all have a fabulous one. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream, and you guys all have a very Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.